Hello, beautiful people. Welcome to my channel. It's Tuesday at 2 here in Arizona, and we are live. I want to welcome everybody here. Oh, hi, Mona. It's good to see you. Thank you for tuning in. I love seeing you in the chat, and welcome to everyone. Even if you're watching the replay, I am very happy to have you here. And so today I thought that we would talk about what's going on in the United States soon is Thanksgiving. And, living a whole food, plant exclusive lifestyle, you know, doesn't really match up with the traditional food on Thanksgiving. So I thought it would be fun to talk about it. And I just want to say hi to Colleen. Oh, good to see you. Thank you for joining us. And so I am going to be peeking down at my notes. We're going to be doing things a little bit differently today. And so, you know, I thought that what we would do is I would share a recipe, and we can also discuss how to deal with any issues, or things that come up. How you see traditions, emotions, things like that. During the holidays. And so that's why I do not have my standard greens and vegetables and fruits out. I have things to share with you, a recipe. But before we get started, I wanted to ask you guys a question. And hello, Estelle. Nice to see you. Hi, Lisa. Good to see you. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in. This is going to be a fun one. So I want to ask, are you celebrating Thanksgiving? And if you are you celebrating with family? And I know that there are people that tune in from other places that are not celebrating, or they already did, like Canada. And so you can talk about past as well for this year. I really want to hear from you. Hey, hello, John Jew. Welcome. So good to see you. I'm just really grateful that everybody is here. And so, yeah, if you could just take a minute and just put in the chat something about, how you're celebrating. And then while you're commenting, I'll just kind of share what we're doing this year. And I am not hosting any kind of big Thanksgiving or a small one. I used to host Thanksgiving at our home, especially when my kids were little, and our extended family at the time. We had the smallest little condominium, and I would host these, as big as I could get them with family extended. And it was really fun, a lot of fun memories for me. But this year and these last, I don't know, handful of years, I would say, we end up going to my mother's house, and she hosts Thanksgiving, her and her husband. And I usually bring my own food, and I like to cook whole food plant-based dishes that I can bring to share. And I usually do at least 2, sometimes 3. One might be a dessert. I've brought things like soups and potatoes and cranberry sauce, or whatever. But I always make sure that what's going to be there, I know what I can have and what I can't. So that's what we're doing this year. And so let's see, we've got a couple comments. Are you okay? Estelle Jacob says, yes, she's celebrating with family, her daughter. That's awesome. Very cool. And let's see what else we have. Colleen, she's going to her sister's house, and she also will bringing her own food, which is awesome. And Estelle, I'm sorry, John Jew is saying hello to everybody. Estelle Jacob says, from Vegas, and my son-in-law will be with us. So she's going to be with a nice group as well. And so is the food that's being served a concern for you or not? I'd love to hear that. So I can't cook everything that, would be some great ideas or things that I might cook, but I thought I would share some recipe ideas. And if it's something that you're looking for, to you're needing ideas, then maybe some of these would be something you could look into. Some of these I've made, some of these I haven't. They're just ideas. I don't necessarily have recipes for all of these things, but what I'm thinking of sharing is, okay, so appetizers. The appetizers could be mushroom appetizers that could be done raw and the dehydrator or cooked in the oven. You could, they sometimes you could take out the little bottom part, whatever you call that. What is that?
The stem?
Yeah, the stem, and stuff them in. And you could do all kinds of things with mushrooms. But if you're like my husband, he's not a huge mushroom fan. I don't know why. I love mushrooms. They're amazing. But if you're not, you could also do something different, like a butternut squash soup or a pumpkin soup, or you can blend the two and have some kind of a creamy soup or a vegetable soup. A soup would be another idea. You could also do like roasted vegetables. You could even glaze them and do like a maple glazed roasted vegetable. You could even, if you're into nuts, you could do a little bit of like those shaved or like slivered almonds over the top. Yummy. And you can even do something super basic like a vegetable platter, and you can have all the beautiful colors, raw vegetables. You can do hummus as a dip. And so those are a few appetizer ideas. If you have ideas or you are doing something different, go ahead and put it in the chat. I would love to share about, what you're doing as well. And I just want to say, Lisa says, will you be doing a raw Thanksgiving this year? I will probably be doing a raw Thanksgiving. Now, that also depends on where I am with my journey, but I'm definitely going to be eating a lot of salads and vegetables. I'll probably have a green smoothie either before or after. And if I am eating anything that's not raw, then it will be because I have already figured out my protocol going forward, because I'm currently on Dr. Goldner's protocol. And so thank you for asking, though. Good questions. And Jill is on. Hi, Jill Caperton. Jill Caperton. Sorry, I messed up your name. I wanted to say hello to you. Good to see you. Okay, so we just talked about some appetizer ideas, and I did mention a couple ways that you could do them raw, and that's because I am kind of focused on that, but not everybody is, and so that's why I wanted to mention some other ones. Now, a main dish is a lentil loaf. A lot of people do lentil loaves, and I'm just really going to only mention that one, but there are a lot of main dishes that you could do. My thing is like the superstar are the side dishes. So side dishes are my main dish. And I just love the idea of having a lot of side dishes. But in the past, I would have these or make these. So mashed potatoes, and I could even do a version of garlic mashed potatoes, or sweet potatoes and mashed potatoes mixed together, or even just your regular mashed potatoes. Any of those versions, and a gravy would be nice. You could do a mushroom gravy. You could do an onion gravy if you don't have mushroom lovers. Or you can mix them both. Cranberry sauce. I recently posted in my channel my cranberry sauce recipe, and so that's one that's a great side dish. Stuffings. Yes, you could do stuffings. You could do them gluten-free. You could use gluten-free I was going to say you could use like a sourdough bread that's gluten-free, or you can use a grain. Yes, you can make a stuffing with a grain like quinoa or a millet, as long as the millet doesn't have its own flavor. It's very bland, so you would want to bring in other things. Or if you're not concerned with that, just any kind of stuffing. Now that is amazing for me to share, that as long as I've met my husband, as long as I've known him, stuffing is his favorite dish at Thanksgiving. And, that's even before he was trying to, go into the plant world. And so he always enjoyed that. You could do twice baked potatoes. Any kind of potato will work. And let's see. Oh, yes, this is a good one. I just reminded myself. So sweet potato casserole, right? But you can add pecans and dates and do like a pecan and date crumble. Yes, doesn't that sound amazing? Of course, I love salad, and salad is like one name for so many different kinds, right? You could do a kale salad. You could do just a spring mix salad with all the vegetables. You could do an arugula salad with pecans, or you can add fresh fruit. And the salads can go on and on and on. And you can also do all kinds of dressings as well. And I don't know if you guys can hear, but Remy is chatting in the background. So I'm going to say that he's saying happy Thanksgiving to everyone. And if you can't hear him, well, don't worry. And then, of course, I like fruit. So I would put fruit in with the main stuff as well as with desserts. Now, before I go to the next section, I just want to check the chat here and see what else we have. Oh, Mona says she loves Nutmeg Notebook's lentil loaf. Yes. And Video 1000 Nights, I've been making potatoes with lots of things in them. Ooh, including arugula. Good for you. I like to add kale to mine and spinach. I haven't tried arugula, so I might do that. Thank you. And Video 1000 says mashed or smashed. Mashed and smashed. Yeah, that's good. So let's see. Oh, hello, Nan. Welcome. Uh-oh. You're having a horrible connection for some reason. Well, I'm glad that you're able to get on with us, and hopefully you will be able to stay. So going back to, we finished talking about a handful of ideas for side dishes. What about desserts? And like I said, one thing that I like to have dessert is fruit, and I also like that at dinner. So you could continue to just keep it out, or you can mix it up, right? Have a fruit salad for dessert, and maybe serve like something else, a solid, grapes, or a mixture of different colored grapes, or whatever kind of fruit you would like with the dishes. Okay, so yes, everyone tends to go pumpkin pie. I recently did pumpkin pie squares. It's a recipe that's whole food plant-based, and you can check it out. And there are lots of pumpkin pie recipes that you can find that are not harming. Whole food plant-based, sos-free, gluten-free. Yes. Oh, hi, John. John is in the chat, and he said we're doing a 5K walk in the morning and then going to an turkey Thanksgiving in Sacramento. Whoa, way to go. Oh my gosh, how fun. Do you know they do something called a turkey trot in our neighborhood, and it gets families with the young kids that go to the elementary school really involved, but anyone can go. And so good for you. 5K walk. We also like to do hiking as well, but I am happy to hear that. So I'd love to hear, do you know what they're going to serve at your unturkey Thanksgiving? I'm guessing some of the stuff that we're talking about. And if you don't know, I'd love to hear what you would like to see there, or are you bringing anything? So, okay, so pumpkin pie squares I mentioned, and then another dessert, really good for you, very tasty, chia seed pudding. Yes, chia pudding. And you can spice it up with vanilla bean powder, and that's not literal, like that's not a spice, but give it flavor. Or you can go cinnamon, right? And then you can even top it with my cranberry sauce. So there you go. Lots of different ideas, or any cranberry sauce, frankly. But I like the idea of having a no sugar version. Now, beverages. I often have water. And most of us that are living my lifestyle, or this lifestyle, I should say, like water. But sometimes you want a little something. And so an idea might be spiced apple cider that you get warmed up, and you can put a cinnamon stick in it, or you can do cinnamon stick with clove or star anise. Those are just spices that can kind of give you a more festive autumn or fall feel. That's fun. For an example, another one that's really fun is really simple, sparkling mineral water. And you can put it in a fancy glass. You can add some lemon or lime or citrus, any kind of fruit in there. And I don't know, let's see. Oh, and I know people that are familiar with California balsamic. I was going to have that out, but I don't. They have a 4% acidity, which is like a thicker balsamic, and you can get them in all different kinds of flavors, and they're salt, oil, and sugar-free. There are other lines that carry, but I'm familiar with that one. And you can put a little bit of that in some sparkling water. And then it's kind of like a sudsy surprise kind of thing. Um, Foamy. Not foamy, not sudsy, but what? Sparkly? Would you say? But anyways, those are some ideas that I've tried, I've heard of, or I've created. And so let me just check the chat. Okay. Oh. Mona says, K like tofu mousse? What's K?
Okay.
Oh, okay. Yes, tofu mousse. That's a great one. You can put some cacao powder or carob and really get it to be a nice chocolate version. Is that what you mean? Boy, you're making me hungry already. And John says they're like they are bringing different dishes. And I'm going to bring my chickpea chocolate chip cookie. Oh my gosh. Why aren't we in Sacramento, honey?
Road trip.
Yeah, that sounds good. Oh, and Mona said yes. Okay. So today I'm going to do the one main dish that I talked about, and it is the lentil loaf. And I don't want you to worry about writing down everything that I'm doing. If you're interested in my recipe, it will be posted tomorrow on my website, and Todd is going to put the website in the chat, but it's thejenniferdiamond.com. And we just say till tomorrow because we want to make sure that we have a chance to get it up and have it correct. And so you can take notes if you are interested, but you don't have to because you can find it there. So, okay, while I am getting this together, we'll also be talking about different topics. But the first thing I want to share is I've got this big pot in front of me, and it's what I was going to make the lentils in. But before we get started with talking about that part of it, I am going to go a little bit ahead, a little bit out of order, and I'm going to make some flaxseed egg out of flaxseed. These are the golden flaxseeds. You can use the brown, it doesn't matter. And then what I did was I already pre-ground the seed into this powder, if you can see that. And this is pre-measured, and we're going to make 2 flaxseed eggs. So to make 1 flaxseed egg, you want 1 tablespoon of the freshly ground flaxseed to 3 tablespoons of water. So since I'm doing 2 of them, I have 2 tablespoons of the flax, and I'm going to add 6 tablespoons of water. 1, 2, and I better count out loud so I don't forget. 3, 4, 5, and 6. And why do we want to do this? Well, because if we do it now and we set it aside, it will give it time to get like this gelatinous jelly type firm consistency that's going to be helpful as a binder in our lentil loaf. And so I just want to show you, and I've done this before, see how runny it is. We're just going to set that aside and let it do its magic. And then when we're ready for it, we'll come back and it'll be ready for us. Now, this, for sake of time, I went ahead and pre-made this yesterday. And so what is it? Well, it is the lentil part. And so what you're going to want to do is you're going to want to either get your Instant Pot and do it on the Instant Pot, or you can do it in a ceramic pot like that. But you're going to want to get your lentil beans, and right here, I have these green ones. You want to do either green or brown because they hold a little bit better. If you do orange or yellow, those tend to be better for, creamier dishes because they don't hold. So I went ahead and rinsed these very well, and then I cooked them. How did I cook them? Well, I took them and I added some vegetable broth, and then I also added a bay leaf, and I cooked them together in here. I also did it in the Instant Pot before. So when I cooked it in here, I cooked it for about, it was probably 20-25 minutes, just really to get the liquid pretty much gone. And then when these were cooked, and the liquid was down, then I took it off the fire and I just let it sit. And if there was any more liquid, it absorbed it. Then you want to make sure to take out the bay leaf. If you want to do it in your Instant Pot, you can do it in your Instant Pot. I think it was 12 minutes? 12 minutes in the Instant Pot. And that ratio was a little bit different than this one. So this was, gosh, I don't have it in front of me. 1.5 cups of the dried lentils to 4 to 4.5 cups of a broth. I used this broth. It's a no salt added vegetable broth. It doesn't have any oil or anything. I also tend to use my homemade broth. I just didn't have it thawed out, so I wanted to show you what I did use. And then the bay leaf. Going in the Instant Pot, you're going to want to do it 1.5 cups of the lentils to, was it 2 cups? No, I don't remember how many cups it was. Oh, I know it was 3 cups of the vegetable broth and the leaf, and then it was 15 minutes. Okay, so we have this ready to go, and that is just really to save time. The other thing that I want to bring over here, I'm going to move this aside, and we are going to grab our food processor. Honey, how's it going in the chat? Do I have any questions or anything going on?
Everyone is on pins and needles watching you.
Okay, great. And so I'm going to, let's see, I'm going to talk about, at the same time, I'm going to talk about some topics, but it's hard for me to figure out the best way to do topics. So I don't know if I should just have you bring up the topics or not.
I can certainly do that.
Yeah. So let me just see. Right here you go, if you want. And so those are just, you can ask me the topic in between. But while you're doing that, I'm going to go ahead and show you that I've got this, the food processor, and I've got my S-blade in it. Now, I already have some mushrooms and I already have some onion, and they're already chopped because I chopped them. But you don't have to chop them because you're going to put them in here and chop them. But I think I want it a little bit finer. So I'll do it. But this is probably fine. It really depends on if you want to find it in your bites or if you want it a little bit more blended up. And then you can add some mushrooms. And yes, Todd will be okay with the mushrooms in this because we're going to grind them up a little bit. And it's not like a big chunk, because I think, isn't that right, that you do appreciate the flavor?
I do.
Yeah. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and just for a quick pulse. That's it. So it wasn't even worth dancing to, but we're going to go ahead and take that. I want to show you what we have here. Let's see. Da, 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 da. So you can see it's just kind of like an even, and you could go even a little bit more, but I'm not going to. And so behind me, I have a pan on the stove, and it is getting hot. Well, it was getting really hot, so I turned it off. I'm going to turn it back on, and we are going to put this in the pan. And while I'm doing that, let's talk about something.
So let's talk about, if you would, being prepared with your food and handling, questions from family who may or may not eat this way.
Right. So being prepared with your food could be a lot of different things, right? It could be what you're bringing with you. It could be if you're going somewhere, or if you're not, if you're hosting, or even if you're not doing anything. Maybe you're just solo. You're just having a regular day. With anything, I always say being prepared is like the best thing. So making sure that your needs are met, you're full, or you have the right food that will allow you to be successful, knowing that this is just one meal, right? And so that's what I would say about that. And then what was the other part?
Answering questions that may come up along the way.
Yeah. So that makes me think of like a work thing, or a friend's neighborhood event or something where people haven't really seen it. You're new to this way of eating, or somebody hasn't seen you in a long time, even if you're not new to this way, and they ask you a lot of questions. that could be really stressful. And so knowing how to handle that ahead of time can be a really great thing. I I would even say you could practice in the mirror, you know, come up with questions and or things that you're concerned about somebody asking you. Um, you can always just redirect, which is what I think is a good one too. And if anyone's interested, I could talk more about that. So this is going to just be cooking down a little bit. There is no oil, so there. I'm going to have the lid on here, and we're going to let this cook for a little bit. Let's go. And anybody saying anything, or you want to add anything?
Video 1000 Nights is now a new fan of Remy's.
Oh, good. Yes, we are too. Thanks. That's wonderful. Okay, good. And so let's see, what else do we have in the chat here?
Colleen's husband is the same way. She has to cut the mushrooms up into finely chopped pieces.
Oh, who does?
Colleen.
Oh, Colleen does. Yeah, I was seeing John Juice said, oh, he wants some of those cookies too. And Mona is saying, thank you. Love a good lentil loaf. Oh, there's the joke here from Video 1000, stick to the flax. Okay, let's see. Colleen, my husband is the same. That's what you were just saying. And then Raising Russell, welcome. Does this freeze well? Yes, it does. And you can freeze it for up to several months if you really want to. But what I would suggest is either cut it in your portions ahead of time so that you can thaw it. Like, you don't have to, maybe you don't want the whole thing. You can thaw it in pieces so that you don't, once you thaw a whole lentil loaf, then you can't refreeze that. So unless you're going to be using the whole thing, cut it up when it's dry, when it's cool, and then freeze it and then thaw it all the way before heating it up and serving it. So great question. Thank you so much. So is there anything else that you want to talk about regarding that topic?
About thawing lentil loaf?
No, about some of the topics that we were talking about.
No, I think being prepared and role playing and just, understanding or planning for those hard to answer questions is part of being prepared, right? And preparation is probably the best tool that you can bring with you.
Yeah, and I wonder, we talk about this a lot throughout the year, and I'm wondering what makes it different. Maybe it isn't different, but if it is different, what makes it different for you when it's a holiday versus just any day that you would be prepared? And these onions, wow, they're making my eyes a little watery. So sorry if you see me choking over here.
So talk a little bit about that, because you said that, a holiday is, not unlike, any other day with respect to, food, I guess. It's a celebration of something, but talk a little bit about traditions and those types of things.
Well, what do you mean talk about them? So
so Thanksgiving in particular, right? If you look at the media and how we all grew up.
Oh, what it's
we all
around.
Gather around this big table with massive quantities of food that will probably kill you at some point.
Well, yes. So traditions, you mean like traditions and things like that?
Yes.
Okay. So traditions, right? It's really hard for people that have felt a certain way about a certain thing and have certain beliefs to change that. I think that some people think that that discounts their heritage, and I'm not speaking for anyone. I'm just sharing what I've heard or my own experience. And please, intervene if this is something that you have experience with or a personal story that you'd like to share, or even a way to handle it. But yeah, so, as people get a little bit of a better understanding of what really goes behind maybe a traditional Thanksgiving turkey on the table, well, I mean, Go ahead.
I was gonna say, what about just changing it up, right? Starting and creating new traditions in place of the old ones.
Yes, and I was going to get to that. Yeah, no,
Okay.
no, no, that's perfect. Great segue. So yes, you can always start new traditions like what John mentioned on the chat here. I don't know if that's a new one for him, but maybe it is for you to get involved in, like we have a turkey trot or he's doing a 5K, doing something different. But when you were talking about traditions is kind of where I was wanting to stay. You can do things different at the table too. Maybe that's where we should go. You could do things differently at the table. So the idea is to remember that this, in my opinion, is about connection, is about family or friends, or it doesn't have to be a bloodline. It could, whatever it is, a connection, a community. And although we tend to do a lot around food, you can focus on the people, and you can focus on the food, but maybe different food, right? Anybody sharing something?
So Jill says that she thinks Thanksgiving is an easy holiday to navigate, as most sides can be made whole food plant based, and turkey tends to be the worst part of the meal. It also tends to be very
Oh,
dry.
wait, you got me confused. So Jill actually said sometimes there are newcomers to the meal. Yes, yes. And if there are newcomers to the meal, is that where they might get the questions? Um, where you might get questions, or is it the other way around? What do you mean by if there's newcomers to the meal? I'll come back to you. And then Lisa said, I think Thanksgiving, I'm going to reread this because I wasn't focusing when I saw it was a different name that you put to it. So Lisa, I think Thanksgiving is an easy holiday to navigate, as most sides can be made whole food plant-based, and turkey tends to be the worst part of the meal, as it tends to be very dry. Okay, so I'm sorry that I had to repeat that because I was not focusing, but you did a great job reading it, and I appreciate it.
Thank you.
And Lisa, thank you for putting that in there. And yeah, that's true. Because what you have to baste it, and I'm thinking back for turkey days, you stuff it, you put stuff on it, right, to make it not dry. So that's true. And yeah, the sides are amazing. Those are my superstars. Jill said yes. Okay, so sometimes there are newcomers to the meal. And yeah, so you can have that as an opportunity without even saying anything to somebody. They just see that you're doing something different, and they might ask the questions. Now, if you don't feel comfortable to ask the questions, because depending on how many newcomers there, they might all come around you, and there you are feeling uncomfortable. That's what I think you have to decide. Are you comfortable or not comfortable? And are you going to want this to take over the conversation of the table or not? So practicing what is acceptable for you, I think, is really important. So you could say, yes, I eat plants for XYZ reasons. And if you're interested, I can recommend a film or a book or a something. And then you can even go to leave it at that. And you could even go to the extent of, I'd love to share more with you about this at another time. If you didn't want to just focus on that, these are ways that you can still focus on the reason that you're there, and not disregard somebody who's interested, and also feel comfortable. Now, if you're already comfortable and you don't mind, well, heck, then you're good. But I'm just saying, if you're not comfortable, because I'll tell you, when I first started changing my food, I didn't have all the answers. I still don't have all the answers. I'm more comfortable with it, but I did not even understand a lot of what I had heard, because it was still sinking in, and I wasn't able to articulate or share some of the more scientific or reasons that I had heard from some of the plant-based doctors. And so I felt a little unprepared for those, and that's why I was bringing up some of these ideas. I just want you guys to see it's coming along here. I'm going to let it go just a few more minutes, and while it's in there, I'm going to move on and just talk about Let's see, I'm just going to So we've got that. Okay, so this part is optional. I'm going to be adding walnuts into it. You don't have to add walnuts. Some people don't like nuts. Some people don't like nuts. Some people are allergic. Some people are concerned about the fat content. Whatever the reason is, I'm adding them. It's a small amount for the whole loaf. I enjoy nuts. These are walnuts. They are a pretty good nut for where nuts are concerned. But please, if this isn't something that you're interested in, don't put it in. Now, these are the walnuts that I get at Trader Joe's. They come already halved. So you can either take them and gently crush them, or you can do what I'm going to do. I'm going to also put them in the food processor and just pulse them a little bit while we're waiting for the onions. I don't want big chunks in my lentil loaf. So let's see, how does that look? That looks pretty crumbly and nice. There we go. So look at that. Let me just take this off for you to see. Look at that. See, just a little bit. Okay, and so we're going to set that aside. And let's see. Okay, so how are we doing with the questions or comments or anything that anyone might want to add? Or, hey, if you don't agree with me, put it in the chat. Let's talk about it, because, you know, my way is not always the right way or the only way. It's just a conversation starter and an idea that may have worked for me.
So Jackie Cornog is in the house.
Hello, Jackie. Welcome from Pennsylvania. Yes, I remember. I enjoy seeing you here, and I'm glad you're here now. No, you're never late to the party. You're just perfect. Your timing is perfect. Okay, so after I put these walnuts in the food processor and process them a little bit, I'm going to be adding them with some tomato paste. The tomato paste that I'm using, I'm looking for the jar and I don't see it. I may have put it away. But let me see where it is, because I want to show people. Oh, I put it away. And I have this tomato paste. It just makes sure that whatever you use has the no salt added. There's salt that can sneak in all kinds of places, and you just want to make sure that you're aware of it. So I'm going to be adding these two things into this mixture here. I just want to make sure that this is round up a little bit more. Now, if you find that it sticks, you can add a little tablespoon of the vegetable broth or water. But because mushrooms have so much moisture, I find that that doesn't really happen. And there you go. I just want you to be able to see there's a little bit of browning at the bottom right here, but it's fine. It's really good. So I'm going to go ahead now, take a moment and just mix in the walnuts. Get all the walnuts in there. Okay, I think. And the tomato paste. All right. And then I'm just going to mix that up. And then we're going to combine it one more time in the food processor with the lentils. So I'm going to go ahead and add these lentils. These are already cooked lentils, and I had them ready to go for you. I'm trying not to spill, you guys. So let me know how it's going in the chat in the meantime, Todd.
It's going great. Mona has had taco, quote unquote, meat made by a friend that used walnuts. She didn't like the crunch for some reason.
Oh, yeah. Okay, so she may not have cooked them or added them. But yeah, so that's good to know. So you can just, try to leave it out if you don't like it. But that's kind of cool that somebody made that and they tried something with the walnuts. Now here, I'm going to just mix this up. I kind of want you to see what I'm doing here, because we don't have the overhead while we're doing the live. It's kind of hard. And you just want to mix this up and just cook it a minute or so. You don't need a lot of cooking here. We are going to be cooking the whole thing in the oven. So is there another topic that we were going to talk about or that you could bring up?
Let me look at the list.
Okay. Okay, see, here we go. I want to show while he's looking. Do you see how it's nicely coated? And you can just cook that for a minute or so. I'm just checking here. Okay. Let's see. Okay. I'm sorry, you guys. I have to remember what I'm doing and talking. This is hard for me to do. So I went ahead and added the lentils. I'm going to go ahead and turn this off. But you're going to want to actually let it cook for a few minutes, like 2 or 3 minutes at the most. I'm going to move this out of the way, and I'm going to add the next ingredient before we go any further. And that is going to be, look at this. Yes, I'm putting garbanzo beans in my lentil loaf. So I'm going to go ahead and just for a second talk about, I'm using canned garbanzo beans. These were drained. You can save the aquafaba for another recipe. That's the liquid that's in the jar. These have no salt added. And this is a 15-ounce jar. Now, if you make your own, which I do sometimes, I use them both. It's about, I think, 1.5 cups. And you can put those in there. And so I just wanted to share that. So go ahead and tell me what you were going to say while I figure out what we're doing here. Okay, I know.
What?
Go ahead.
Oh, I was just going to say, you have a note here about taking traditional meals and changing them to be whole food plant-based.
Yes, yes. So that's something else. Like if somebody, they say my relative, my grandmother, my memory, my whatever, my mom, my dad, my uncle, anybody did this recipe and now I'm trying not to eat whatever's in that recipe because maybe it is a standard American diet. You can still keep it, but just revisit the recipe and see, okay, what exactly of the recipe can I keep still? Like maybe spices or maybe, I don't know. And what can you change out? So the egg, you use the flax egg, right? The ground meat, you use the lentils, and see if you can kind of revamp the recipe that you love so much. Is it going to be identical? Well, no, it's not going to be identical because it's not identical. But the idea is you can still have those beautiful memories and you can still enjoy it. And it doesn't have to harm. So have you guys done that before? And if so, was it a success? And what was it? I'd love to hear. And so then I'm just going to take a minute. And while I'm going to pulse these, I'm going to also, let's see, hold on. Okay, I have some rolled oats. And I made rolled oat flour. So I've got the rolled oat flour. And I am going to add it in here. This is about 3/4 cup of rolled oats, and it's just going to help with the binding. Let's see. So I went ahead and made it ahead of time. How did I make it? Well, I put it in my Vitamix dry mix, and it just turns the rolled oats into this fine powder, which is in place of a regular flour. It's just the rolled oats ground up. And so that's what we're going to use. And we already have the flax egg ready to go. So that's going to be ready. I'm going to go ahead and process this. And what I want to do is just chop it up a little bit. I'd like to see if we can chop up the garbanzo beans. But if there's a piece or two in there, that's okay. And so, whoops, let me grab the lid. And you tell me if there's anything in the chat. I'd love to hear what's going on there, honey.
So Colleen was saying that she probably didn't process the walnuts long enough to get rid of the crunch.
Oh.
That Mona didn't like. Colleen says that her taco meat is with walnuts and she doesn't have an issue with the crunch.
Okay, so yeah, that's something new to try. See if you can process it a little bit more. Okay, so here I go. I'm just going to try to grind it up a little bit. Now, you don't want to do it too long. Why? What will happen? You don't want to make paste So, you might just, if I kept going to get it to rotate, it might make a paste. So I am fine with this consistency here. I still have a couple of the garbanzo beans that are whole, and it's kind of ground down here, but I'm going to just show you what that's looking like. So it's not perfectly ground up, and that's okay. It was just to give it a little boost. Now I'm going to move this aside. I'm going to grab an extra bowl, and then we're going to start mixing a bunch of stuff together and getting it in the oven. And so, any other topics that we could talk about?
No.
Okay. All right. So let me see. Mona's talking about a different kind of recipe. Oh, that's the same one with the nuts. I see. So I just want to take this out of here, and I'm going to go ahead and add this mixture to my bowl, the whole thing. Now, because the oats were already processed, I mean, technically I could have added it here, which I think is what is in the original recipe. And so you can just process the garbanzo beans a little bit with the lentil beans, and that's fine too. And then what I'm going to do is, I should have done this before, take my rings off, and I'm going to add a few more things. So I guess I could have added the rolled oats at this time. I'm going to add the flax egg that we made, and let's see what we have here. Our mushroom mixture. So here it is. We've got the mushrooms, the onions, and all of that goodness. The tomato paste, we're going to put that in there. And now we're really just combining everything into one. So we've got that. And then I want to also grab, I want to show you this. So if you're not familiar, and some of you are, you can see it's been sitting here, and there is some water on the top. But if I mix it up, or if I just show you, you see, it's kind of, let me just mix it up. It's like kind of like, an egg, when you would crack an egg, a raw egg, but it's not. And it is still runny, but there is some thickness. And so we're going to add that right in here. So that's going to help with the binding. Now, another thing that we're going to add, does anyone know what this is? Probably not. I don't know if you can see this, but it's the Date Ladies date sugar. And date sugar isn't real sugar. It's natural sugar because it's a date that's been dehydrated and then ground up. And here you go. And I'm adding a little sweetness to this. So I'm going to go ahead and add that right in there. You could skip that if you don't want it, but it's a nice little addition. I also have a couple teaspoons of liquid aminos going in there, right in there. And the liquid aminos I'm using are the Bragg's. They're the gluten-free. This is a soy sauce substitute. And so you can use even the coconut aminos, which are less sodium than this one. And this is way less than traditional soy sauce, but it might give you a tiny bit of a coconut flavor. So just be aware. And then we're going to also add spices and seasonings. So I'm actually adding some nutritional yeast. That is going to give me a little bit of maybe like a kind of a cheesy flavor. And then we also have in here oregano. We have crushed red pepper. We can't really see. There's paprika. You want to get the smoked paprika if you can. It gives it a little nice smoky flavor. There's a little bit of chili powder, so adjust it depending on the heat tolerance that you have. And then you can use a no salt seasoning. I happen to have one from right now. Which one am I using? The Kirkland one. But there's Mrs. Dash. There's Savory Spice, which is a wonderful spice company that I found when I was up north at True North. And they're a great source. You can check online. They have all kinds of wonderful spice blends. And so I'm going to add all of that. And and the last one is ground pepper, black pepper. Blum. There we go. And so now I'm just going to mix this. I'm going to start mixing it with a spoon. I'm going to end up with my hands, and then I'm going to go to the spatula. And so how are we doing?
Doing well. So everyone, or at least Mona, or I'm sorry, Jill agrees that If you mix it too much in the blender, calling it a lentil paste loaf would be a bad idea.
Right? Oh my God, I love it. Yeah, that's funny. Yeah, you want it to have some texture. So just a little pulse. And anyways, thank you for that comment. That's funny.
And then John says, "Rings so true with my family. The food, so it's not dry, has always been an issue. Unfortunately, rich, highly processed gravies and sauces are a tradition that will not change yet."
Yeah. Yeah, and so that's why we can look at our food. When I say our food, anybody that wants to eat this way, it's everybody's food. It can be, and try to change it to make it so that it's still the palatable, delicious flavors. It might even be better, which I believe it is better. And you still get it. You can make all kinds of beautiful gravies with some plant milk, vegetable broth, of course, mushrooms or onions or both. And so I'm just wanting to tell you that I mixed it just a little bit. And now I'm really just kind of folding it. That's just what I'm doing. But you want to, I love playing in my food. You want to incorporate it together. So have fun, if you're wanting to make this and you're by yourself or you're with people, oh my gosh, just get in there. Don't be shy. So it's so funny. Our youngest daughter, she does not like anything gooey like this. Like, so when she was a baby, she wouldn't put her hand in a pumpkin. So if she has to do anything like this now, she would definitely wear like kitchen gloves or some kind of glove. Okay, so I'm going to set this aside and rinse my hand for a quick minute. Anything else going on in the chat there?
Jackie would like everyone to know that hands in food infuses love.
Oh, I love that. Thank you so much. Well, I feel like I'm doing that, so it's nice to hear that you agree. So now what I'm going to do is show my latest tip that I learned. You guys, I might be old at this, but we've got our loaf. You don't have to do this in a loaf, but I'm going to do it in a loaf. So I've got this loaf pan. This is a Pyrex glass. If you don't have glass, whatever you have, you might want to put parchment paper over it. I like to do it because it won't stick and it's easy to get in and out. But if you have an aluminum pan or other kind of pan that it would stick, definitely you want to make sure you put parchment paper in it. You could do this in a muffin tin. You could do this as a meatball or as a disc or as a round pie. You could do it any way you want. So don't be afraid to be creative. But the tip that I just learned is to take this fresh, beautiful piece of parchment paper and crumble it up and then reopen it. I know people probably already know this. I was so fascinated to learn this. One of our viewers commented and told me to do this. And so here I am doing it. I wish I could remember who that was. I'd like to give him a shout out. But anyways, it will keep it so that when you shape it, the shape will stay better than if you don't. So there's my new tip. Might be old hat for some of you. And so anyways, I just want to do the best I can to shape this. And now I'm going to take this and pour it in there. Now, if you want to do half and have thinner loaves, you can. But I'm going to fill the whole thing. And we're going to make a glaze. And the glaze could be put in the middle and then put the second part on top. Or you could just be put on top at the end, like what we're going to do. Or, you can double the recipe for the glaze, which we're going to talk about. And then you can have some to dip in it as well as make a glaze. And so here we go. This looks like an awful lot to fit in this loaf pan, but it will fit. You got to just push it down and just know that you can do that. So if anyone has made a lentil loaf, are there any other shapes or any other tips? Would you fill it all the way up? Do you like the idea of breaking it in half and like putting some kind of a glaze in the middle? That's what I really think it would be great to do. And we actually could do that. Should we do that? We could do that.
Mona loves traditional.
Okay, yeah. So like the traditional shape. Yeah. So I feel like, oh gosh, I feel like I'm going to wish that I put some, but I'm not because of time. If I had more time, I think I would have left half of it, doubled the glaze that we're going to do, and put a layer in the middle. And then put the rest of this loaf on top, put it in the oven, and then right at the end of the cooking time, the last 10 to 15 minutes, probably closer to 10, I would put the rest of the glaze on top. And so, know that you could do that. Know that you could do that. So here we go. Yes, this whole thing fit into one loaf. This definitely could be for 2 loaves too, like I keep saying. Can I hand that to you? Okay, thank you. So once you get it in your loaf pan or whatever shape pan you want, if it's really thick like this, you're going to want to make sure that you cook it for quite a while, about 45 minutes. I think that's what I have. Yeah, 45 minutes. We tend to go a little longer because our oven just doesn't, it needs extra love. So anyhow, here's what it looks like. And then what you would do is you would set your oven and you would put it in here. I'm not going to cook it because we don't have that much time together to do it, but I am going to quickly do the glaze and show you the finished product. So the glaze is basically really, really simple. It's just a few ingredients, and it's so good. So I'm going to make it the regular way, but I say double the recipe. I think you can't go wrong. So what I have is, again, some more of the tomato paste, and it's basically a 2-1-1 half-half. So what do I mean by that? 2 tablespoons of this tomato paste, 2 tablespoons. Then we have 1-1, which is 1 tablespoon of the California balsamic. You don't have to use this brand. I just really like it. I can put a link in the description below so you can check it out. But this one is the premium classic. What you want to look for is that it's not watery like a red wine vinegar. You know, you want the vinegar, a balsamic. You want it to be a thicker. So we're going to do 1 tablespoon of this. Oh, I should have washed that. 1 tablespoon of that. And then I've got more date, lady. 1 tablespoon of the date syrup. All right, look at that. So we had 2 tablespoons, 1 tablespoon, 1 tablespoon. And then we are going to do a 1/2 teaspoon of each of these seasonings, and that is granulated onion and granulated or garlic powder. These are powders, onion powder, garlic powder. And this is our savory spice that I've been talking about. And let me get my 1/2 teaspoon out. And that's it, you guys. So let me scoop that. 1 of those and 1 of these. Any questions? Anything else?
John Riley is excited that and is thanking you, thinking that it's nice that you were going to bring this to the Unturkey Thanksgiving in Sacramento in exchange, of course, for his chickpea chocolate chip cookies.
Oh, in exchange. I love it.
I added the cookie part.
So you could, you added that. So you could use a whisk, you could use a spoon, you could use a fork, you could use one of these. Well, maybe I will, but not that one because it's dirty. The idea is you just want to mix this up. Mix, 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 mix. That's your sauce, you guys. That's your glaze. It's so good. It's tasty and it's simple. And so when the dish comes, done with the 45 minutes, then you can take it out. And then what you do is you pour this on top of it. And I like to use this this spatula right here. Which one is this one called again? I'm blanking. Offset. It came to me. Offset spatula. And you just kind of coat the top, and then put it back in the oven for an additional 10 minutes or so. You don't want it to burn, but you want it to get so it's not so sticky, and then you'll be ready. I like to make it double, so then you can slice it up however you want to serve it, and then you can pour a little extra if you want. And my idea of putting a layer in there might be good, or even, I wonder, even mixing it in some of the, just some of it. Oh gosh, now I have ideas, you guys. But I did make a finished product to show you. And so because we weren't going to be able to cook for another hour, I have it right here. Let me grab it. Okay. And it's not hot, so I was able to use my hands, but you would want to use oven mitts to get it out of the oven. And so here you'll see, look at that. Doesn't that look fantastic? And then what you can do is you can use the parchment paper to pick it up and take it out easily. You can put it on a cooling rack. I would recommend not taking it out immediately. Let it sit in here for at least 15 minutes. I have found in the past when I've taken it out too soon, because I get impatient, that it might not be holding all the way because it's still hot and you don't want it to lose its shape. But if you just give it a little time, then you can put it on the cooling rack. You can take this down, and then you can serve it. So it's still hot. It's just not like so piping hot. And if you want to freeze it, like we had that question earlier, you can certainly do that in the whole shape, or slice it into chunks or slices, however you want, and freeze it that way and thaw it as you go. And so let's see, what else? Any other questions? Anything on that sheet with the questions? No?
Nope,
Any questions here?
Mona said you can make 2 loaves out of that recipe. John, we talked about John Riley saying it's nice that we're going to bring that. He's also commending you on your ability to not only teach the class, but respond to comments at the same time.
Well, I'm glad you think that it worked out, because I don't know, sometimes I think that I need more notes. But, whatever it is that you do during Thanksgiving, whether you've already had it this year, you're going to have it, or some other holiday that's coming up, you can do this. You can be successful. You can be true to yourself. It's one meal. You just got to plan ahead. And really, guys, enjoy it. Enjoy it for what it is. If you're going to see people you don't see, if you're going to be going on a hike or other thing, just enjoy it. And that's what I wanted to share. Can I have that paper back? Yeah. Just because I took a couple notes to remind myself. Let's see. Oh, I don't even know where it is, but I remember. And here it is. Let's see. That's what I wanted to tell you, is a couple other ideas when we started going down the path of hiking, right? So I was going to say, do something also that day, whether you're hosting or you're going, that you enjoy. So maybe you want to exercise before you go. You can give yourself time to do things that you love. For me, I love being in nature. If I lived close to the beach again, I would want to go there. But, if it's too cold and it's snowing where you are, well, then don't do that. Do something else, like self-care. Take a nice hot bath if you like that, or do some meditation or a yoga, or have a nice cup of hot water with lemon, which is something else that I like. And so, there can be emotions attached to the holidays. And memories, and actually there can be expectations. And wanted to, I know we're a little over, but I'm just going to say, I wanted to ask if anybody, knows how they would handle those kinds of situations. Sometimes people feel obligated to taste what somebody else made for them, or to, be a certain way or do a certain thing that maybe that doesn't resonate with you anymore. And it's okay to change, to pivot, to share that I'm not trying to insult you. I just want you to understand that this is what I'm doing now for my health or for the animals or for whatever reason. You don't even have to give a reason. This is just what I'm choosing to do. And I appreciate what you've done, and maybe give an idea of a future thing. Maybe next time in the future, we could have this together, or today we can just not have this particular thing, but we could do that. Or I'm not going to have that bite because I made a commitment and a promise to myself, and I need to be kind and good to myself. I hope those things help and inspire you. And other traditions that you can make besides worrying about the food, even though we all have to eat, are right. You can go bowling. We talked about hiking. You can go to the movies. You can bring in different style of food. Okay, I'll tell you a really quick story before I get off, and then we'll read a comment here. So I had a hygienist who used to clean my teeth many years ago when we lived in California. And I remember it was around Thanksgiving, and she was asking me, what are you doing? And I was asking her what she does. She had a young son, probably around 10 years old at the time, and her husband. And she said, we're getting together with her parents, and they were going to be going miniature golfing. And she said, we do not want to spend all day cooking this food that we don't even like. And they weren't whole food plant-based. They were, standard American. She said, we decided that we're going to do something fun. And then we're going to go back to our house and we're making Mexican food. I think she said they did enchiladas and tacos. And it was done like the night before, and they just heated it up. What's the important part of this story? It's just being together with the people that you love and care about. It doesn't have to be about the bird or about something that maybe doesn't resonate with you anymore. So that's what I wanted to share. Go ahead. Tell me what some comments are before we go.
John Riley went to Chef AJ's meetup group for an early Thanksgiving a couple weeks ago. It was a vegan potluck.
Ooh, oh, that would be so fun, John Riley. I just wonder, what was your favorite dish that you tried there? Leave a comment. And I'm going to guess that Chef AJ probably did some kind of delectable, delightful dessert if she made something. I'm just guessing because she has that sweet indulgence cookbook out. And so anyways, thank you for sharing that. Let me just see what else we have here. John Jew, lifestyle is medicine, just like our food. All these beautiful things you are mentioning. Let's enjoy life. Thank you, Jennifer and Todd. So good. Oh, John Jew, thank you so much. I appreciate that because we can be led to feel like we're alone in this, and we don't have to be because we have each other, and I just want to show and share that we could still have all the fun times that we've always had. Just have to do it maybe slightly different. And so I hope that you guys enjoyed my time today. I'm gonna
2 at 2.
Oh, what's that?
Is this time okay still?
Oh, yes. Okay, I'm sorry. Todd was asking me a question. And yes, we did want to ask one question before we go to everyone. And that is, I'd like to know, is this live Tuesday at 2:00 Mountain Standard Time? Is this a good day and time for people? I just want a little bit of feedback. And I know that it doesn't work for everyone. There are people that tune in that aren't even in this country, that it's the middle of the night for them right now. But I do want to respect the people that are here and just kind of get some feedback. I also want to say hi to Marilyn Dubin. I see that she says she joined in late. And anyways, let's see. I think that I got everything else. I just want to say thank you so much. And I know we still have another week before our Thanksgiving, but I appreciate you and I thank you for tuning in. I really hope that this inspires you to come up with something great if you need to plan.
Everyone seems to be good with Tuesday at 2. Mona would not be opposed to an every day. opportunity.
Oh, you are awesome. Really, Mona? Okay, well, who knows what the future holds? That would be something. Wow, thank you so much. Okay, nice to think about. And I just want to say, don't forget, no matter what day it is, eat your greens, everyone, and give plants a chance. They're so good. And like John Jew said, it's medicine, right? Take care, everyone. I'm so happy to have seen you today. We'll see you next time. Bye for now.